These thoughts feel like wisdom. They feel like responsible adult thinking. Sounds like dad, sounds like mom, but they're coming from the part of your brain that is in panic mode because resources are perceived as scarce. This is freeze response. When fight or flight aren't options, your reptilian brain shuts down emotional access to protect you from the pain of whatever threat it perceives. You create what you fear because your nervous system is constantly scanning for threats. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and today's activation is to help you escape the reptilian brain trap in manifestation. There's a part of your brain that's actively sabotaging your manifestations, your timeline shifts, and your spiritual development. And the worst part is you think it's helping you. You think it's keeping you safe. You think it's being realistic and practical when it tells you that your dreams are too big, that you need to focus on survival, that spiritual practice is a luxury that you can't afford right now. This isn't your higher self speaking. This isn't your intuition. This isn't even your conscious mind making a rational decision. This is your reptilian brain, the most ancient, primitive part of your nervous system, hijacking your spiritual practice and keeping you trapped in survival mode disguised as practicality. Today I'm going to show you exactly how this happens, why even advanced practitioners fall into this trap, and most importantly, how to recognize when your reptilian brain has taken control so you can break free and actually create the reality you're capable of manifesting. Now, at the end, I'm going to guide you through an activation that will rewire your nervous system to catch this pattern before it derails your transformation. Because once you see this trap, you can't unsee it. And once you learn to navigate around it, everything changes. Let me start with some basic neuroscience that will change how you understand your own resistance to growth and transformation. Your brain has three main layers that evolved over millions of years. The newest part, your neocortex, is where higher thinking happens. Creativity, planning, spiritual understanding, abstract thought. The middle layer, your limbic system, handles emotions and social bonding. But underneath all of that is the oldest of your brain, the reptilian complex, sometimes called the R complex or the lizard brain. This reptilian brain developed hundreds of years ago when our ancestors were literally reptiles. Its only job was survival. Flight, fight, freeze, feed, and reproduce. That's it. It doesn't understand concepts like manifestation or higher consciousness or spiritual development. It understands threat and safety, danger and security, scarcity and survival. So it's like you're driving in a car with an old engine that's reacting in the wrong way. That's our bodies. They're just vehicles. And what most spiritual practitioners don't understand is this ancient brain structure is still active in your brain now. It's still scanning for threats. It's still trying to keep you alive. And it's incredibly powerful because it operates below conscious awareness, and it can override your higher brain functions when it perceives danger. The problem is that your reptilian brain was designed for a world where threats were immediate and physical. Predators, starvation, exposure to elements. But you're living in a world where the threats are mostly psychological, social, and existential. Your reptilian brain can't tell the difference between a tiger chasing you and the fear of failure. It can't distinguish between actual starvation and the anxiety about money running out next month. So it treats all uncertainty, all change, all growth, all expansion as potential threats. And when it perceives threat, it activates survival mode. And survival mode is the enemy of manifestation. Here's why. Manifestation requires openness to new possibilities, receptivity to abundance, willingness to change, capacity to envision bigger realities, and trust in the process. Survival mode requires closing down to protect resources, hypervigilance for threats, clinging to what's familiar, contracting into smallness and safety, and controlling everything possible. These are opposite states. You cannot manifest from survival mode, but most people trying to practice spiritual development are operating from survival mode without even realizing it, because their reptilian brain has learned to disguise survival anxiety as rational thinking. Let me show you exactly how this hijacking happens so you can recognize it in your own experience. You start practicing manifestation. You're visualizing abundance, doing your techniques, raising your vibration, trying meditations out. You're feeling good. You do some breath work, you shift, and it feels like there's a real potential for something special to happen. And then your reptilian brain notices that your bank account is lower than it was last month. Just for a glimpse. Threat detected. Maybe you notice that sales are down, or that views are down. Whatever it is, immediately it starts generating thoughts that feel completely rational. You can't afford to focus on spiritual practice right now. You need to focus on making money. You need to be practical. There's no time for this. You need to get a better job, work more hours, hustle harder. These thoughts feel like wisdom. They feel like responsible adult thinking. Sounds like dad, sounds like mom. But they're coming from the part of your brain that is in panic mode, because resources are perceived as scarce, and because you think these are your own rational thoughts. You listen to them. You abandon your manifestation practice. You stop meditating. You stop shifting. You don't focus on your vibration. You go into hustling, forcing, struggling, scheming mode, and you wonder why your manifestations aren't showing up. The trap is that you've just reinforced to your reptilian brain that its panic was justified. You've proven to yourself that survival concerns must override spiritual practice, and next time the panic will trigger even faster. You're working on timeline shifting, connecting with future selves who are living much bigger, more abundant, more visible lives, and your reptilian brain notices those versions of you are exposed, vulnerable, visible to criticism and attack. Threat detected. Suddenly you start having thoughts like, this is unrealistic. You're not that kind of person. People like you don't live like that. You'll be judged. You'll be criticized. You're not worthy. It's safer to stay small. You don't deserve it. It's more authentic to be humble. Again, these thoughts feel like wisdom, like spiritual maturity, like realistic self-assessment, but they are the survival brain trying to keep you in the cave where predators can't find you. You're practicing surrender, allowing, and flow. And your reptile brain notices you're not controlling outcomes. Threat detected. Immediately, you need a plan. You need to know how this will happen. You need guarantees. You need to figure everything out before you take action. You can't just trust. You need to be smart about this. This feels like being responsible and intelligent. But it's survival brain trying to control every variable, because that's how you avoid being eaten by predators. Except you're not trying to avoid predators. You're trying to quantum leap into new realities, which requires releasing control and trusting in possibilities your conscious mind can't predict. You're maintaining a high vibration, feeling good, aligned with your manifestations. And your reptile brain notices other people have more resources than you. Threat detected. You're falling behind. Everyone else is succeeding faster. You're not doing enough. You need to work harder. You need to compete. You need to take what's yours before someone else gets it. This feels like motivation, like drive, like healthy ambition, but it's survival brain operating from a scarcity model where resources are limited and you're in competition with everyone else for survival. And that energy creates exactly the scarcity it fears. Here's the most insidious one. Your reptilian brain learns to use spiritual concepts to maintain control. You just need to love yourself more. This challenge is a lesson. This suffering has meaning. You're not ready yet. You don't deserve it. You need to heal more. You need to clear more karma. You need to raise your vibration higher. You're manifesting this for a reason. This feels like spiritual wisdom, like deep understanding, but sometimes it's survival brain using spiritual language to keep you stuck in familiar suffering, because familiar suffering feels safer than unknown expansion. Do you see how sophisticated this is? Your reptilian brain doesn't create obvious fear. It creates thoughts that feel like wisdom, practicality, responsibility, spiritual maturity, and realistic thinking. It disguises survival panic as rational decision-making. To understand why this trap is so powerful, you need to understand what's happening in your body when the reptilian brain takes over. When your reptilian brain perceives threat, real or imagined, it triggers your sympathetic nervous system. This is the famous flight or fight response that everyone knows about. But what people don't realize is how completely this hijacks your entire system. Your body floods with stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your muscles tense. Your digestion shuts down because digesting food while running from a predator is a waste of energy. Your immune system suppresses because fighting infections is not the priority when you're about to be eaten. Here's what's crucial for manifestation work. Your higher brain functions also shut down. Blood flow decreases to your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for creativity, planning, abstract thinking, and accessing higher states of consciousness. Blood flow increases to your hindbrain and your body because survival requires quick reactions and contemplation. In this state, you simply cannot access the brain states required for manifestation. You cannot visualize clearly because visualization requires prefrontal cortex activity. You cannot feel abundant because your body is screaming resource scarcity emergency. You cannot trust in divine timing because your reptilian brain only understands immediate threat response. You cannot raise your vibration because your nervous system is vibrating at the frequency of survival panic. This is why you can do everything right. Perfect visualization, all the techniques, great understanding of the principles, and still not manifest. Because if you're doing these practices while your nervous system is in survival mode, you're essentially trying to plant seeds in concrete. And the real challenge is that chronic stress means your reptilian brain is always at least partially activated. Modern life keeps most people in constant low-grade survival states. Bills, deadlines, social media comparison, news cycles, work pressure, relationship stress. Your reptilian brain interprets all of this as a threat. So you're trying to manifest abundance while your body is in famine mode. You're trying to expand into new timelines while your nervous system is contracted in a defensive posture. You're trying to trust in the universe while your ancient brain is screaming that nothing is safe. This is not a mindset problem. This is a nervous system problem. You can't think your way out of it with affirmations. Sometimes it helps, but you can't visualize your way out of it with manifestation techniques. You have to shift your nervous system out of survival mode and into growth mode. Having an activated root chakra helps. The root chakra closes up when you're in survival mode as well. That's what most spiritual teaching completely misses. They give you the mental and energetic tools while your nervous system is completely locked in a survival state. Like driving a car with the emergency brake on. The engine works fine, but you're not going anywhere. So how do you know when your reptilian brain has hijacked your spiritual practice? Let me give you some specific signs to watch for. First, physical signs. Your breath becomes shallow and rapid. You might not even notice, but if you pay attention, during moments of resistance to your practice, you'll find you're barely breathing. Shallow breathing is one of the first signs that survival mode has activated. Your jaw clenches, your shoulders tense, your stomach tightens. These are all protective muscular contractions that happen automatically when your reptilian brain senses threat. A lot of times you'll be squeezing your sphincter and you don't even know it. You feel tired or wired or both simultaneously. This is the stress hormone cocktail affecting your system. You might feel agitated and exhausted at the same time. You get suddenly hungry or suddenly lose your appetite. The reptilian brain either wants to stockpile resources or shuts down digestion depending on what type of survival response it's activating. Your thinking becomes black and white. Nuance disappears. Everything is all or nothing, life or death, succeed or fail. This is reptilian brain thinking because survival situations don't have gray areas. If you start catastrophizing, your mind jumps to worst case scenarios. If I don't figure this out, I'll end up homeless. If this doesn't work, I'll never succeed. If I run out of money, everything will collapse. This is survival brain's threat assessment system going haywire. You become obsessed with control and planning. You need to know exactly how, when, where, and why everything will happen before you can take action. This is survival brain trying to eliminate all unpredictability. You lose access to creativity and imagination. When you try to visualize or dream big, your mind goes blank or immediately starts listing all the reasons why it won't work. This is the prefrontal cortex being shut down by survival activation. You start comparing yourself to others constantly. You see everyone else as either a threat or resource. You lose the capacity for genuine collaboration because you're in competition mode. Then there's emotional signs. Anxiety becomes your default state. Not obvious panic attacks, but a constant background hum of worry, unease, and tension. This is chronic survival mode. You feel angry or irritable without clear reason. This is fight response. Your reptilian brain is preparing you to battle for resources and survival. You experience numbness or disconnection. This is freeze response. When fight or flight aren't options, your reptilian brain shuts down emotional access to protect you from the pain of whatever threat it perceives. You feel desperate. There's an urgency, a sense that everything must happen now or disaster will strike. This is survival brain's perception of immediate threat even when the actual situation is not urgent. Then there's behavioral signs. You abandon your spiritual practice in favor of being practical. You tell yourself you'll get back to it once things are more stable, once you have more money, once you have more time. This is reptilian brain convincing you that survival concerns must override everything else. You start hustling, forcing, and pushing instead of allowing and flowing. You move into masculine, aggressive energy regardless of your gender because that's survival mode's preferred strategy. You isolate. You withdraw from community and support because the reptilian brain sees other people as either competition for resources or potential threats. You stop investing in yourself. You tell yourself you can't afford those courses, you can't go to that event. You can't get the coaching or tools that would help your growth because reptilian brains need to hoard resources for the perceived coming scarcity. You make decisions from fear instead of inspiration. You choose the safe option, the familiar path, the smaller version, even when your soul is calling you toward expansion. Here's the key. None of these signs mean you're doing something wrong. They mean your reptilian brain is activated, and once you recognize the activation, you can choose to shift your nervous system state instead of believing the survival stories your ancient brain is telling you. Let me be very direct about what it costs you to allow your reptilian brain to run your manifestation practice and your spiritual development. You stay small. Not because you lack ambition or capability, but because your nervous system won't let you expand beyond what feels safe. And safe to your reptilian brain means familiar. even if familiar is painful and limiting. You manifest slowly or not at all because manifestation requires the higher brain states that survival mode suppresses. You can practice techniques for years and see minimal results because your nervous system is fighting against everything you're trying to create. You make decisions from fear instead of wisdom. Every major life choice gets filtered through, but what if I fail? But what if I lose everything? Or what if people judge me? These fear-based decisions create a life built on avoidance rather than inspiration. You exhaust yourself with effort because survival mode means forcing and pushing instead of allowing and flowing. You work 3 times as hard for a fraction of the results because you're trying to manually control outcomes instead of cooperating with natural abundance. You miss opportunities. Your reptilian brain makes you see threats where others see possibilities. The chance encounter that could change everything looks like risk to be avoided. The invitation that could open new doors feels like danger to your nervous system. You stay isolated because connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability feels like a threat to the reptilian brain. So you cut yourself off from community support that will accelerate your growth. You burn out. Chronic survival mode is exhausting. Your adrenals fatigue. Your system depletes. You end up unable to maintain even basic practice because your nervous system is running empty. You create what you fear because your nervous system is constantly scanning for threats. It actually attracts the very scenarios it's trying to avoid. Your fear of scarcity creates scarcity. Your fear of failure creates failure. Your fear of rejection creates rejection, not because you're manifesting it, but because your behavior changes when you're in survival mode, and that behavior generates the outcomes you're afraid of. You miss your life because you're always preparing for disaster instead of being present to what's actually happening in this moment. You're always in tomorrow's imagined catastrophe instead of today's actual reality. And perhaps most tragically, you mistake survival for wisdom. You think your reptilian brain's panic is your intuition. You think its contraction is your discernment. You think its fear is your intelligence. So you follow into smaller and smaller versions of your life because you're being practical and realistic when you're actually being controlled by ancient survival programming. This is the real cost, not just missed manifestations, but just slower growth. But a life lived in constant defensive posture never fully expands into the possibility that's available to you because a part of your brain that developed to avoid being eaten by predators is still running your show. So how do you break free? How do you stop your reptilian brain from hijacking your spiritual practice and your reality creation? First, understand that you don't eliminate the reptilian brain. You don't try to override it or suppress it. That's another trap. The reptilian brain is part of your survival system and it serves important functions. What you need to do is learn to recognize when it's activated, thank it for trying to protect you, and then consciously shift your nervous system into a different state. Here's the process. First, recognition. When you notice the physical, mental, emotional, or behavioral signs we discussed, pause. Name what's happening. My reptilian brain is activated. I'm in survival mode right now. This simple recognition interrupts the automatic response. Second, compassion. Instead of judging yourself or fighting the response, bring compassion to it. Your reptilian brain is trying to keep you alive. It's doing its job. It just doesn't understand that you're not in actual danger. Thank it. Thank you for trying to protect me. I see that you perceive a threat, but I'm actually safe right now. The third is breath. This is crucial. You cannot shift your nervous system state with thought alone. You must use the body. The fastest way is through breath. Take slow, deep breaths to balance the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold it for 4. And then exhale for 6 or 8. The extended exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system and tells your body that you're safe. Do this for at least 2 minutes. 4, grounding. Bring your awareness into your body and into the present moment. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your body in the chair. Look around and name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear. This brings you out of the imagined future threat and into the actual present moment, which is usually safe. 5th is truth-telling. Once your nervous system has started to calm, ask yourself, what is actually true right now in this moment? Usually in this moment, you're safe. You're not starving. You're not being attacked. Your immediate survival is not threatened. The threat your reptilian brain perceived is a story about the future, not a reality in the present. 6th, conscious choice. From this calmer state, you can make a conscious choice about how to proceed. Not from survival panic, but from centered awareness. You might still choose the same action your reptilian brain was pushing you toward, but you'll do it from a different energy, which will create different results. And then 7, practice repeatedly. This process is not a one-time fix. Your reptilian brain will activate repeatedly because that's what it does. But each time you recognize it, interrupt it, and consciously shift your state, you're training your nervous system that growth and expansion can be safe. You're creating new neural pathways that don't automatically equate change with threat. Over time, with consistent practice, your nervous system learns to stay in growth mode more often. Your window of tolerance for uncertainty expands. Your capacity to hold bigger and bigger possibilities increases, and your manifestations start flowing because you're no longer fighting against your own survival system. Now I'm going to guide you through an activation that will help rewire your nervous system's response to growth and change. This is not just a visualization. This is working directly with your nervous system to create new patterns. Find a comfortable position where you can be undisturbed for just a few minutes. Close your eyes and take 3 deep, slow breaths. Let each exhale be longer than the inhale, signaling to your nervous system that you are safe. Another breath, breathe in. Hold it. And breathe out. One more time, breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Very good. Now bring your awareness to your body. Without changing anything, just notice, how are you breathing right now? What's your heart rate? Where are you holding tension? What's the general state of your nervous system in this moment? Now I want you to deliberately activate a mild version of survival mode so you can recognize what it feels like. Think about something that creates anxiety for you. Maybe money concerns, maybe a relationship issue, maybe a decision you need to make. Don't go deep into it. Just touch the edge of that worry. Notice what happens in your body. Your breath probably gets shallower. Your muscles probably tense. Your thoughts probably speed up or start spiraling. This is what the reptilian brain activation feels like. Notice it, name it. This is survival mode. Now I want you to address your reptilian brain directly. Out loud or silently say, thank you for trying to protect me. I see that you perceive a threat. I acknowledge your concern, and I want you to know that I'm safe right now. In this moment, I'm not in danger. You can relax. I've got this. Take 3 more deep breaths, making the exhale twice as long as the inhale. Feel your nervous system beginning to shift. Now bring your awareness to the base of your skull, where your spine meets your head. This is approximately where the oldest part of your brain, your reptilian complex, is located. Imagine that you can send warm light to this part of your brain. Not trying to change it or fix it, just sending it warmth and appreciation. Say to this part of yourself, "You have kept me alive. You have protected me through everything I've experienced. You are doing your job beautifully. Now I need you to understand something. Growth is safe. Expansion is safe. Change is safe. We're shifting into our greatest timeline now. You don't have to panic every time something new appears." Feel that light spreading through the reptilian part of your brain, warming it, relaxing it, helping it understand that you're not trying to eliminate it, but to work with it differently. Now I want you to imagine a dial or a dimmer switch that controls how strongly your reptilian brain responds to perceived threats. Right now, that dial might be turned all the way up, so even small uncertainties trigger big survival responses. In your brain, see yourself gently turning that dial down. Not to 0. You still need your survival instincts for actual danger, but down to a more appropriate level where your reptilian brain only activates for real, immediate threats, not for imagined future scenarios or growth opportunities. As you turn this dial down, feel your entire nervous system relaxing. Feel your shoulders dropping. Feel your jaw unclenching. Feel your breath becoming fuller and deeper. Feel yourself settling into a state of calm, grounded presence. Now from this relaxed state, I want you to practice growth mode. Imagine something you want to manifest or a timeline you want to shift into, something that would be expansion for you. See it clearly. As you hold this vision, pay attention to your body. Does your reptilian brain activate? Do you feel anxiety starting to rise? If you do, just pause, breathe. Send warm light to the base of your skull again and just say, "This expansion is safe. This growth is safe. You don't need to protect me from my own evolution." Keep practicing this. Hold the vision of expansion. Notice any survival activation. Soothe your reptilian brain. Continue holding the vision. You're teaching your nervous system that you can imagine bigger possibilities without triggering survival panic. Now I want you to install a new automatic response. Imagine that every time you start to manifest, every time you practice spiritual work, every time you envision expansion, a part of your consciousness automatically checks, is my reptilian brain activated right now? Am I in survival mode? And if the answer is yes, you automatically initiate the calming response, deep breath, grounding. Thank you to the reptilian brain. Conscious shift back to present moment safety. See this new neural pathway installing itself. See it becoming automatic. See yourself in the future catching reptilian brain activation before it derails your entire practice, and gently, compassionately shifting back into growth mode. Feel this new pattern settling into your nervous system. This is now your default response. Recognize survival mode, think it, shift it, Continue expanding. Take 3 more deep, slow breaths right now and set an intention. I recognize when my ancient survival brain is activated. I respond with compassion. I shift my state. I choose growth mode. I manifest from safety, not from survival. Feel this intention anchoring into every cell of your body. Your nervous system is learning. Your reptilian brain is learning. You are creating new patterns that support your expansion instead of fighting against it. Before we complete this activation, take a moment to notice how different you feel now compared to when we started. Your nervous system has shifted. Your breath is different. Your body is different. This is the state you want to manifest from. This is growth mode. Remember what it feels like. Anchor it. Pinch yourself somewhere. When you're ready, take a final deep breath and gently open your eyes. Carry this new awareness with you. Every time you notice survival mode activating, you now have the tools to shift it. The reptilian brain trap is one of the most common and least understood obstacles in manifestation and spiritual development. But now that you see it, now that you understand how it works, now that you have the tools to recognize and shift it, everything changes. You're not trying to eliminate survival instincts. You're learning to work with them instead of being controlled by them. You're teaching your ancient brain that growth is safe, that expansion is possible, that change doesn't equal danger. This is ongoing work. Your reptilian brain will activate again, probably tomorrow, probably multiple times, but each time you have the choice to recognize it, thank it, and shift your state. And each time you make that choice, you're rewiring your nervous system for manifestation instead of survival. Remember, you cannot manifest from survival mode, but you can learn to shift out of survival mode quickly and consistently. That's the practice. That's the mastery. That's what creates permanent transformation instead of temporary glimpses. Your reptilian brain has kept you alive this long. Honor it, thank it, and teach it that thriving is safe too. I'll see you in the next reality, the one where your ancient survival brain and your higher consciousness work together instead of fighting each other. I've also created a new group on skool.com. You can find it at skool.com, skool.com/reality revolution. This particular group is designed to bring people together to work as a mastermind. I have weekly Q&A and coaching sessions and exclusive material that's only available in the group, with workbooks dedicated to some of my best and most important teachings. It's only $47 a month. Join me there. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com, and welcome to The Reality Revolution. Welcome to The Reality Revolution. I'm Brian Scott, and I have a huge announcement. I'm so excited to finally let you know that on February 27th at the Newark Airport Hilton, we're holding a 3-day immersive meditative experience designed to create the most profound transformation possible. We created this event specifically because so many of you couldn't make it to the LA event. We got to work, and after looking everywhere, we found the Newark Airport Hilton to be the most central and reasonably priced location. You don't just learn about timeline shifting, you actually do it. You don't just understand the concepts philosophically, you embody them. On Friday, we start with activating your pineal gland, your gateway to higher consciousness. Then you meet your higher self and learn to quantum jump into your greatest timeline. And by the end of the day, you will do my most powerful meditation where you actually become your future self from that greatest timeline. We get together for a group karaoke and sing along and a community celebration, because joy and connection are just as essential to your transformation as the deep work. This is your invitation to step into the life that's calling you forward. Let's do this together. I can't wait to meet you. Once again, it's www.brianscottlive.com/February 2026.